when the former head of the Israeli military, the former Israeli defense minister, not some lefty, not some anti-Semite, Moshe Yaalon says last week, we're doing ethnic cleansing, we're sending our soldiers to commit war crimes, we're losing.
Going on, you guys, today we have Mehdi Hasan. He is slamming a Zionist nut job on Piers Morgan. Mehdi Hasan is speaking facts. Let's get into it.
Because it's not going to lead to the removal of Hamas as an entity, and it looks like support for Hamas has grown, not deteriorated. So I don't understand what victory looks like other than what Smodrich has been saying, which is actually what it looks like is all the Palestinians gone. The Israel go in, clear them out, and they take over the land. Well, that, I'm afraid, whether you like it or not, John, is actually one of the definitions of a genocide, the expulsion of a people based on its ethnicity. Mehdi, your response?
So, yeah, a lot's been said there. Thank you for coming back to me. First of all, let me just deal with this credentials game that I know John and his friend Douglas Murray love to play these days about military, who knows more about this or that. John runs his mouth on a variety of topics. I've seen him talk about, in fact, just today he's talked about war crimes, international law, who's breaking international law. Last time I checked, John is not a lawyer. The International Criminal Court has indicted Netanyahu and Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity. The former Jewish president of the tribunals for Yugoslavia and Rwanda says Netanyahu should be indicted for war crimes and crimes against humanity. So let's just, we're going to play the expert game. John's not an expert on genocide. The actual genocide experts, the president of the International Association of Genocide Scholars says Gaza is a genocide. The leading Israeli scholars of the Holocaust, Omer Bartov Brown, Amos Goldberg at Hebrew University, say Gaza is a genocide. John's not an expert on targeting terrorists. The guy who led the attack on ISIS, the American Master Sergeant Wes Bryant, has said John doesn't know what he's talking about. So let's not play this credentials game, because John will lose, just like Douglas did on the Rogan show. Let's talk about substance. John said a year ago, we're close to winning. He talked about not being allowed into Rafah. Rafah has been destroyed. Have you looked at any pictures recently? It's flattened. You don't need to go there with the IDF to see that they flatten Rafah. They flatten most of Gaza, and they still have not won, quote unquote. It's absurd to say that Israel was held back. Is this the new stab in the back? This is the new bullshit defense. The former Israeli ambassador to the United States said recently, thank God Joe Biden was president while this was going on. He gave us everything we wanted. He never asked us to stop. He never asked for a ceasefire. America gave Israel everything it wanted, and they went ahead and decided to, you talk about killing Hamas commanders. They dropped two 2,000-pound bombs on October the 31st, 2023, on the Jabalia refugee camp, killing over 100 people to kill one guy, Ibrahim Biari, who wasn't even there, a Hamas commander. They killed...
And it's funny, I believe that this is a nonpartisan issue, for both sides. I think that you have, the IDF, I believe it was the Israeli forces, just bombed a Catholic church a few days ago, or a day ago. This is, I wonder what the conservatives think about that. Right? At least a few conservatives, right? I know that are pretty hardcore Christian. But as far as this war goes politically, I believe that you have both sides. It's a dual partisan support. You have both Democratic leaders and as well as Republican leaders who are going to continue to get called out, but they feel no shame and they continue to show their support shamelessly, really. They have no shame whatsoever, continue taking money from AIPAC, from different lobbyists to support the genocide in the Middle.
My YouTube coaching client Dylan had never posted a YouTube video in his life, and within 3 weeks, not only is he monetized, but he's made $2,000 already. And this is his actual YouTube dashboard where he made $2,000 in his first 3 weeks on YouTube, and he's actually in the political commentary niche, which a lot of you guys probably also want to be in. I'm hosting a free training where I'm breaking down the exact AI system that I have built that finds viral topics for you, and it brings them to my clients every single morning so they can make YouTube videos on them. That's how Dylan did it. That's how I'm doing it. That's how so many of my other clients that I'm sure you have heard of before are also doing it. And I'm showing you exactly how to set up these same systems so that you can get the same results with your YouTube channel, whether it's political commentary or another type of channel. April 30th, it's free. It's limited spots, so make sure you go ahead and grab a spot now. The link is in the description and the pinned comment. Go click it. It takes 15 seconds to sign up. Save your spot and make sure that you are there on April 30th. I'll see you there.
At least.
Over 100 people with 2,000-pound bombs, which incinerate everyone within 100 square feet and damage everyone within 1,000 square feet. That is not targeted warfare. That is not proportionate. That is not legal. And we've seen that play out now over 20 months. And as you said at the start of the show, as I said, the dam is breaking. The Spanish Prime Minister has said Israel is a genocidal state. The Brits, the French, the Canadians that have backed everything Israel done, Britain continues to arm Israel, are saying this is intolerable. tolerable. Donald Trump, as you've said, Piers, wants this done, wants this over, isn't a fan of Netanyahu. Not that I have any trust in Trump to do any of the right thing. And I think the reality is, look, everyone can see with their own eyes, there's no justification ever for starving people. Since March the 2nd, to not allow baby formula and diapers in, only a sociopath would support that. And John's very smart, he's very eloquent, he comes on here, he talks with stats, cites law. Back in Israel, the Israeli politicians and the Israeli journalists are saying openly genocidal things. They are saying everyone in Gaza is our enemy. They are saying we're going to get rid of everyone from Gaza. They are saying Gazan babies are not innocent. That's what they say on Israeli television, if anyone bothers to watch.
Yeah, and actually, John, there was a piece in the Jewish News in the UK published yesterday, which was without a doubt the most critical piece I have read by a mainstream Jewish newspaper in this country ever. And it was very critical of the Israeli government and its strategy. So I think this idea that what they're doing, the government, has widespread support now from Israelis or Jewish people globally, I think is actually beginning to be proven wrong. I think there's a lot of uprisings now of people saying enough, because they can see there's no end game. No one really on the Israeli government side has explained what is going to happen when this war ends, or indeed what victory looks like. And I just don't understand it. I mean, look, you're a war expert. If you don't have a victory, what happens?
So you have continued war. So this is, I mean, there was a lot there that Mehdi talked about. And if you had to quote a master sergeant as your expert, as you're trying to...
And I don't want to interrupt John Spencer too much, because I enjoy him just saying a lot of just gibberish to begin with. But he also, at one point, John Spencer, he had said that the casualties, the civilian casualties in Gaza are a lot lower than usual modern warfare. He was saying that the civilian casualties in Gaza were from 50 to 60%, and that the usual civilian casualties are 80 to 90%. That was Netanyahu who picked that up. That was a complete lie. He's not nowhere near accurate. In urban warfare, the percentages, it's usually 40 to 70% of the casualties are civilians. And now we have estimates that it's 80% of the Gaza casualties are civilians. So it's completely flipped around. It is nothing but misinformation. It is nothing but just wanting to defend a position that is inherently evil.
Say that I'm not an expert, or the other people that you list, while you're saying I'm not an expert.
He's the guy who literally led the effort to kill ISIS.
Yeah.
But okay.
Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you, but you're not an expert. Fine. I'm not an expert. Fine. But history, the military tactics, you say, Piers, what does victory look like?
Yeah.
Exactly the standards. Every hostage brought home. Hamas not in power, both military or political power in Gaza, and there's something else. Now you have actual, great, quote, Israeli press. That's the beauty of a free press. People can say what they want and get it published. You have people voting with their feet in Gaza right now saying, Hamas, we don't want Hamas. What you have, what victory looks like. Now, I can tell you historically what it has ever looked like and what did it take to defeat another military. Take the Korean War. 2 million civilians died in the Korean War. 54,000 civilians a month for every month of that war. Do we call that a genocide? Do we call it illegal? No. Israel does follow the law of war and goes way beyond the legal obligations, like feeding the enemy's population, because as of right now, trucks are rolling in, even though they've tried to figure out a plan to get the food away from Hamas.
Bullshit.
And again, point the finger at Hamas. Point the Mehdi, control yourself. Open the gate to Egypt, create the biggest displaced person camp just on the other side of the gate, and get the women, the children, and the elderly out of harm's way, and then destroy Hamas. That's victory, so that it never threatens Israel again. Go to Sir Andrew Roberts on the history of when you start a war, when you lose a war, you actually do lose the right to govern your population. You do lose the right to subjugate your population, because the billionaires in Qatar don't care how many people in Gaza are dying.
Okay, Mehdi, final word to you.
I mean, look, we can argue about what victory looks like. We can also argue that a victory shouldn't involve a genocide, right? That's been my consistent position from the beginning. Don't kill civilians. Don't intentionally harm civilians. When the former head of the Israeli military, the former Israeli defense minister, not some lefty, not some anti-Semite, Moshe Yaalon says last week, we're doing ethnic cleansing. We're sending our soldiers to commit war crimes. We're losing touch with our Jewish values. That's what Moshe Yaalon, a hawk, the former head of the Israeli military, said last week. There's a reason he's saying that, and there's a reason John Spencer doesn't want to engage with that, because Israeli generals are saying it themselves. We've turned killing kids into a hobby. The world can see. I thought we're not interrupting, John. The world can see what Israel is doing. Israeli generals can see. And by the way, one last point, please don't go and invoke Yemen to score your points. I think I've spoken and written more about Yemen than you ever have. People like you only ever come along and cite Yemen and Sudan.
So there we have it. You know, we have John Spencer, who's going to bring up a few things, bring up the fact that, oh, America has done these things to people as well. And, oh, the billionaire class doesn't care about what's going on to the Palestinians. And you know what? John Spencer, I would love to give you the You Are Correct award. You are correct. America has done great, terrible things, like really depraved things. Right. I agree with you 100%. So then what else? Like, that doesn't justify anything. The millionaires, the billionaires, all of these people that worship money, they don't care about innocent people losing their lives. Yes, I 100% agree. I so much agree with you. What else? You know, that's it. If those are your points, and everyone agrees with you. Right, everyone agrees that America has done terrible things, right, and that the billionaire class does not care about the working class to a level to make change, right? Because it just hasn't happened. Those are just real things, right? We cannot argue about we agree on the same things, except for these major issues, as of exactly what Mehdi Hasan said, to where people are losing their Jewish values. Judaism is getting mixed in with Zionism, to where even the blessing that could be Jewish culture, Jewish tradition, is getting mixed up. It's getting completely washed away. I suggest anyone who is watching this to go and find Jewish Voices for Peace. That's a group that they're very much wanting to support and keep the peaceful religion, the part that is a beautiful religion, and not something that is weaponized, not something that is used for genocide and innocent killing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's another day in the progressive way.